Let's talk about the here and now and the future. You were part of the NFL Players Association, I guess, player rep meeting that was here in Los Angeles.
Yep.
How do you think it went?
I thought it went well. I mean, whenever it comes down to the business of football, especially from the players, we've got to try to get 2,000 players and bodies kind of on the same accord. And that takes a lot of, time on task. That takes a lot of, conversations for guys to be able to represent their locker rooms correctly, to be able to take those desires and bring them to the negotiating table with league owners. So I think, the more and more we continue to have a dialogue, we had another meeting last week. We'll continue to meet as we go throughout this process.
So obviously, as you point out, there's, I don't want to say different agendas, but obviously what you might consider important, another player might not, and vice versa. Like, for instance, you're not going to get in any trouble that might need some sort of player discipline, but you might also think that's important for the league writ large and your player body. What is the most important issue for you, Malcolm?
I mean, there are a ton of things. I think the biggest thing is from, when you look at the economics, there's obviously TV money that's going to come in. Ratings are up for the league, so there's an opportunity for all of us to make money there. There's this new gambling money and trying to figure out, how we define that and what that industry takes. And so all of those things, you want to figure out how we also, we want to strengthen our body. So it's not just the top guys that get these max contracts, but how do we strengthen, the everyday player that only makes it 3 or 4 years, but puts their bodies on the line and keeps the league kind of going. So there's priorities that we have as players, but that varies from different locker rooms. Some guys care about working conditions and our off-season programs and training camp, how many padded practices, things like that, the quality of life. So you got to weigh all of these different things, your benefits package, what life is going to be after the game. Like I said, what you're going to be doing during the game, and then the economics. And you start to weigh, what's more important, what's not. Me, in the back end of my career, I'm very concerned about the economics of the business, especially, further out. I think we have an opportunity as a league to continue to grow, but to make, to give ourselves as players a little bit more equity in this game and really, address this as partners in the business of football.
Are you talking about a revenue split? Is that what you're referring to, or what are you referring
different
to?
Different ways.
Malcolm?
I mean, we've had different. It's different ways to go about it. You can talk about the revenue split, but like right now, the way it is, just throwing money on the table is not enough, because we've seen the top players get more and more money, and it squeezes and pinches kind of the middle class of our league. So it's not just about generating more revenue, but how do we disperse that revenue throughout our locker rooms is a lot of the conversation that we're having as players and with league management.
Malcolm Jenkins here on the Rich Eisen Show. Do you think franchise tags are here to stay, go away? What do you think? Because I know that affects only a small percentage, but it is something that might affect eventually.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's either here to stay or whatever, but I do think that for us as players, we want to limit as many restrictions as possible. It's kind of the opposite for the league. They want to be able to control, players. So I think there's a fine line, some things that are reasonable, but I think for some of our top guys, you want them in the market because they set the market. They, if such and such hits the market, he makes more and more money. Everyone who follows up makes more. So you don't want your best players to be restricted.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live, or download the Rich Eisen Show app.